So it's been an interesting moment since we kicked off this morning discussing several issues on the show, the weekend show, and now we want to discuss some particulars, another segment of the society who are very important. They face numerous challenges, they face peculiar challenges, and we want to look into their issue now. We're talking about widows in Nigeria. We're looking at hope for widows in Nigeria, and to discuss with us is Mrs. Hope Nwakwesili of the Almana Hope Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Lady Nkechi Osonwa, member of Almana Hope Foundation.
Thank you.
Well, yes, we are so glad to have you, Maz, in the studio with us today. Well, you know, the issue of widowhood in Nigeria is a touchy one. It's actually an emotional thing because no one knows who is next. And the thing is, sometimes people think it's a problem, it's a curse to be a widow. And now to see women like you who are coming out to say, it's not that we wanted this to happen, but it is fate. And no one knows who this will come to today or in the future. That gives us a lot of hope that soon we might have a Nigeria where everybody talks about even people who by no means of theirs are in certain situations, and we're trying to help them, to empower them so that we have a better Nigeria. So it's so good to have you, Maz, once again. So tell us, how has the journey been so far? I'll start with you. Of course, you're the founder of Almana Hope Foundation, so I think it's best to start with you. Yeah.
And I seem to be older in the business now.
Oh, no, tell us, how long, man?
24 years.
Wow.
Yes. You know, this is something, you know, when they say, till death do us part. And on the wedding vow, when they are saying that to you, or you don't hear it well, or you're waiting, this man, let him hurry up so I can become a wife. But when the reality hits, there's no counseling that can prepare anybody for that. You know, and our society does not make it easy. From the day you hear the story, your world is torn apart, and you have to struggle to get yourself back together. It has not been easy, but it's getting better.
Wow. So, Lady Osonwa, can you also give us a hint? First of all, tell us, how long has it been since?
This is my 9th year.
9 years. And it's a long time, a really long time.
So about 6th March 2009. Of a truth, it has not been easy, but my personal experience is that when you find your leg in that shoe and you embrace God, that God will always be there for you, not minding, because it is full of challenges, surprises that you never expect. But if you embrace God, you see that God will be your succor and see you and your children through, and prove to you that of the truth, he is the husband of the widow and the father of the fatherless.
This question will be a little bit personal, because one thing with widow is that you share your experiences for people. Some people just came into this family this year. Some are just a week old.
Yeah.
How did you cope with yours? 24 years ago, probably you were still young when it happened.
Yeah.
How did you cope?
I was barely 27, 4 kids. And like she said, you know, the first thing you have to know is that it is only you and God, not man. The arms of man is so short. They can only spread as wide as it is. But the only being or supernatural that has the widest arm is God. You have to first of all embrace your God. Having embraced your God, you bring out your inner strength and say to yourself, this will not conquer me, I will conquer it. Because when you say that, it positions you it puts you in a position to bear whatever you see. And once you are able to bear whatever you see, because you are going to see, where do I start? My husband was a police officer, you know the story. Immediately after the burial, I came back. By the next month, I had been ejected out of the quarters. No house. That is the system. And in between that, I came back to school one day, 3 months into the death, and I was suspended from school. I'm a teacher in the school, police school. And funny enough, I was just walking into the school and saw people gathering. I was still wearing my black. And I saw people gathering. Everybody was looking at me. And I was like, what is going on the notice board? Behold, when I went there, it was my suspension letter pasted on the notice board. 4 kids, no house, no job. But in the midst, did I cry? I lamented. Did I weep? I mean, this glasses is not for fashion. You know, this thing, but the truth, that word that says, weeping may endure for a night. Joy comes in the morning. Today, to the glory of God, my kids are all graduate, 3 are married, just 1 left. But it has not been easy. And the truth is, it will never be easy until you decide. It gets easier in a different way, but it's a decision you have to make.
Wow, so touchy. In fact, so emotional. You know, you almost had me crying, but then
Don't cry.
It's a program. Okay, now let's move on. Let's hear from you, Lady Osonwa, as well. I'm sure you have your own story to tell. Can you recount briefly what it's been like?
Of a truth, I found it easier, so to say, because I embraced God some years back before I lost my husband. So when it happened, in as much as I got the shock because my husband was sick actually 2007, but recovered fully 2008 and went for Thanksgiving on the last Sunday in December 2008 and was okay. No ailment at all. But suddenly, on a night that I left for night vigil, he went to the bank 2 times that day. He went to the market 2 times that day to shop for my first son that was on midterm break to go back to school, and paid money into my first 2 daughters' account number that we are at University of Abuja. So no sign of anything. But at midnight, while I was on night vigil, the enemy came. It was a shock. But when I expected his death was on that 2007.
When the sickness was at the height of it.
You understand? But I cried unto God, and God came to my rescue and restored him. And through personal experience he got, he told me that God gave him a second chance. And he saw a man, he was walking on a road without any end, and he saw a man on white that came to him and asked him to go back, that he's giving him a second chance. He used those 2 years to prepare for certain things. It's like he acknowledged it, he appreciated it, and prepared a lot of things. But for me, I wasn't expecting anything again because he had gone for Thanksgiving. So, in between, when I started, at times, if I decide to ask myself certain questions, you see that my memory will be recalled back to that 2007, that he nearly left. He nearly died. But God answered that prayer and gave him 2 years. That God knows why. And I become encouraged.
Wow.
You know.
So. Yeah, I think it's different story for different people. I'm sure that there are people who will tell their own story so far in widowhood, and everybody here will just cry. But then I thank God that the fortitude there was, you had the fortitude to bear it even up until now, and you're so optimistic that tomorrow will definitely be better than today. Now let's talk about the event. There's an event, and Amana Hope Foundation is spearheading this effort, to draw attention to issues pertaining to widowhood in Nigeria. Can we hear from you, the founder, what's this event about?
Okay. Having been on this journey 24 years, I have come to realize there's an aspect of empowerment of widows that's being shortchanged. And that is the social, emotional being. If you talk about, when you do psychology, motivation, human motivation, Maslow put it basic need, psychological need, and fulfillment. And you find out that widows are left on the basic, which is the food and shelter. And at the end of the day, I'm talking from experience. 24 years, I worked hard to the glory of God, hiding myself into work to raise 4 kids. My oldest, when my husband died, was 8. The youngest were 3. I didn't feel it. But immediately they graduated and started getting married. I realized that in those days, while I was busy working, at a certain point, it wasn't the provision of that shelter. I was keeping myself, the social, emotional being, suppressed. Suppressed. Because the point is this, even as I believe in God, God has been faithful. But the truth, even the church, as open as it is, there are times that it's locked because there's no program that you can go and hide yourself inside. And as good as you are as a friend, there's family time, which you go back to your husband and you stay. Where sits me? Where do I sit? Where I sit? And that is what I know. 3 years ago, I almost went into depression. I don't have kids to worry about, to look for school fees and so on and so forth. And what do I do with my time? Okay. If it's not for the book and this program I'm running, sometimes I ask myself, maybe I would have gone crazy. Because you get to the house, you're all alone in the house, the kids are on their own. And what do you do? Today, and I realized from people I've been talking to, widows I've been talking to, that this is a place, there's a need for a support system where widows, no matter what you tell me, the pastor can preach and advise, but he cannot provide counseling for a widow. A pastor, you can't talk
because
about what...
Because he has not been in that situation before.
You cannot. It is a widow that I have learned from experience that can say to you, I meet people and they look at it, I say, forget about the big hair. Forget about the pancake face. Once upon a time, I do not have bread to give to the children. And you are stuck in that. Who do you ask? Once upon a time, and every now and then, I sit in my lonely bed and I ask myself, who are my friends? Who do I call? Who do I chat? Who do I do this? And I realize that of late now, which up there, so many ladies are embracing it, trying to form a circle of interaction, socialization, where you can support each other, encourage each other, and talk with each other, especially at that lone path. And how do you now get people to embrace? And another thing I said, if you watch it, every program that concerns widows, I agree to empowerment. I respect those that carry it. But calling every now and then to share rice and beans and cloth and I go home, what happens to the other days of my life and other needs of my life?
And that's exactly what this event will address.
Yes.
And how will this event address this cycle, emotional needs?
Like we did it last year.
Okay.
I remember one of the women that confronted, she said, "Hope, this is just what I need." And every other women were as long as they say, "Can you imagine that I slept well for 3 nights?"
Oh dear.
Because you were happy, you were excited, you felt free. You didn't feel, because that privacy, that indonization, I said indonization, at the end of the day, when you live there, it still keeps you enclave in that shame and guilt. And believe you me, that is why the abuse and the victimization is still holding on. But if you have a way to regulate yourself and you are socially free, it gives you the empowerment to talk about what is the challenges you are being faced to anybody. And indirectly, it will stop most of those challenges. Because if I'm going to talk about you doing something wrong to me, you don't want to be talked to. Nobody wants to be talked about.
I think
because when the victim has a voice,
you just gave it the word voice.
Exactly.
You come out, you walk, people will see you. It's not a shame. It's not.
Yes.
It's not contagious.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're part of the society.
God.
Yes, you're supposed to be accepted, no matter what. Now, let's bring these events into perspective. International Widows Day, Amana Hope Foundation Charity Walk. And what I've been asking is, how will this work address this need?
It addresses it because it makes it removes that silence treatment.
Okay.
It brings projection. I'm a widow. And people will meet themselves at the end of the day, they associate.
Okay.
They find a recreation. They have fed their body and their spirit too. They are enlightened, they are lighter. And by the time you get home, you relax. And like I said, a couple of them, widows today that I interact with in Lagos, we met on that field. They just had it on the radio, and we came, and after that day, they joined the group, and we chat every now and then. People throw in, this is what happened. You know, people will suggest and advise.
So this time you are having it in Anambra?
Yes, I decided charity because it's happening in Lagos too.
Okay.
I'm just stepping it down to Anambra. And the idea is this, like I keep telling people, other widows, if anywhere you are, I mean, remember that it's you and that put this date, it's not me. Which means you have a social circle. And I put it on my social media. I said, marginalization is a gap between action and treatment. And if you want that gap to bridge, you take action.
Exactly.
You take action. If they have given you a date, whatever it is you want to do to bring out yourself, and look at me, you do it. At that point, nobody will hold you. And you know, by the time you start doing it every now and then, it becomes accepted. And by the time we look at it, widow. And I want to look at that day. I hope it's enough self. This is your widow thing. You never do. That's the idea. So that it doesn't put that stigma and that myth around it.
Yeah. And then I'm looking at the invite though. We may not immediately project it, but I'm sure that you have handbills that we can have just in case there are people out there who want to attend. We want to know who can attend this work. You didn't mention anybody. Everybody.
First of all, it is a widow's day, just like every party.
Yes.
If somebody is doing birthday or doing party, you invite the general.
Right.
So it is a widow's day. It is a widow's day. So widows has family.
Sure.
He has friends. He has daughter, and he has you.
Okay.
Sure. So
And that's why you're here, certainly.
definitely. So everyone is invited for the charity work, and it is holding in the month of June. That is this month, 23rd of June, 2018. That's on a Saturday.
Yes.
And the time is 7 a.m. The kickoff time. Yeah. So walk us through the route, just in case somebody wants to wait at their house.
Okay. The idea is that we are going to start here at ABS.
ABS. Okay.
We are going to walk through Aroma, past Amak Hospital, down to Ekoka, and turn back
to ABS.
to come back. I mean,
So
to
ABS is the center.
ABS is the center.
And it's a good thing, you know, because there's no level of support that can be enough.
Of course,
Exactly.
there's no.
So to join this work, she's already told us we started from ABS, heading to Aroma, and then all the way through
Amako Hospital,
to the old road,
Yes.
6th Avenue, down to
Ekoka.
Yeah. So if you're anywhere around there, once you spot the colors as well.
Yes, and the colors are this. The widows wear green.
Okay.
And on that day, we are trying to get, for the first 10 widows that will come, I have a T-shirt. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to wear it. I forgot. I said, widowed, wounded, and whole. You know, it's a person. The first 10 women that will come, we'll give them that T-shirt. Okay. So, and we have a T-shirt too. The first 10 supporters that will come, we'll give them a T-shirt. But the point is, if you don't get a T-shirt, widows wear green. Okay. Green is life. I'm alive.
Sure.
I must celebrate life. Then friends goes with purple or orange. We put purple or orange because of men. Okay. Some men will not want to go on the orange. So purple and orange, there are other colors. Then the children of the widows wear red. Oh. I love my mom.
Oh, nice. Nice. Really.
I want us to react to this. Whenever we talk about widows, we begin to talk about culture and tradition, how it begins to. But there's something you mentioned. The husband was part of a system, and immediately he died, you were ejected. How do we begin to address? Because virtually with this is not about culture. Yeah. This is not about tradition. This is not about the villagers. It's not about the clan. This is about the system where your husband has put in his life and time and resource, and then there was not even a consideration.
That is another issue for another day. Which school? First, yes, granted, the system he worked with, has the policy that once you are off the system, you go out of the house. Okay. That's another. But where it was it was not fair is that I was not given time. You know, I was being harassed. You know, people were struggling over this house, one. And secondly, and that is where I still complain with the system whenever I have the power to sit down each and every one, and I say, put a policy down, because eventually I now found out that later my own, I found other bereaved widow like me in that same system, because they had a more ranking and connected place, they had the ability to stay in that place. So, I mean, this is a part of the thing. If you decide that you are going to have a policy on this, make it general. Yes. Don't play favoritism. Because every human being, I mean, they all put on their best on that job. That is it.
So how is the foundation engaging policymakers to think in that direction?
You know, this foundation is just 1 year.
Okay.
Yes. We don't. Yes. You know, when 2 years ago I was 50, and I said to myself, part of the gift I was going to give myself is to talk about this widowhood I have, and I wrote a book, A Widow's Window. So when I launched the book, I realized that, you know, part of the money I gave to some, you know, indigent widows that I knew that, you know, I was able to give some. But somebody suggested to me, said, "Oh, why don't you?" Because I have been generally I mean, it's understandable that if as a young woman you see a young widow. You know, my mother just became widow 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I know she's 70-something. My father, you can imagine, I buried my father. Okay. So, if my mother and I are in the same society, be it church or anything, who do you think that a young widow will relate to? Me or my mother? It is me. Because I will have more stories, more suffering. My mother, the children were all grown up. And virtually 7 are married before the husband eventually died. So when based on that experience, I realized that I see people say, I hope it was when you came on my husband's burial, what you said to me, that gave me strength to. And some of them, I couldn't even remember what I said. But I mean, if I don't remember anything, I remember I will say to you, I have been there. It's possible. You just have to determine to get up and move. If you sit down, people will talk. You get up and move, people will talk. But the question is this, what do? You
get up and...
Which one is more dignifying? Yes. The one that is more dignifying is get up and go and look for bread to give to your children. Because at the end of the day, it is those children that you are entitled to give account to.
Wow.
Okay, Lady Osonwa, I don't know, you have to come in here.
Okay.
What do you tell the society when it comes to their relations with people who lost their husbands, especially family members, friends, and the society at large?
My personal advice to the public is that while dealing with any widow on this planet Earth, they have to have the fear of God. Because widowhood is not a club that one desires to enter. It's a matter of calamity knocking on one's door, that any woman on this planet Earth can answer a widow. Assuming it is a club, you don't know when to join it. That once your husband is dead, your name changes automatically to a widow. So while dealing with a widow, know that you can be the next person on the line. Apply conscience. Apply conscience while dealing with widow, because of the truth, there are certain things you can't say here. There are certain things you can't say on the air, certain experiences of widows, because some people you don't expect react in ways that demoralize widows. People too close to your husband will be surprised at what they're doing. What if by tomorrow your wife becomes a widow? That treatment you are giving that widow, if another person starts giving that treatment to your wife, will you be happy? So I advise them. I advise the public to handle widows with care, because it can be their turn tomorrow.
Well, what a big advice there. Well, he who has ears, let him hear. Now, remember that the focus, we shouldn't change the focus though, even though we have to touch issues around. The fact is that the charity work will hold in this month of June, precisely on the 23rd. It's a Saturday, 7 a.m. Those who will go for exercise should convert. Just come to ABS instead. If you plan to go to the stadium, why don't you come and join the work? Now, I know that there are other issues. There are traditional practices that demean widows and all. Those are things that, as time goes on, we'll be talking about these issues. How widows deal with men out there. You know, these are things that we must talk about. You know, we can't wish them away. And I'm sure that some widows out there are waiting for us to touch on them, but we don't have time. But don't worry, we're partnering with Amana Hope Foundation to also address this issue. So anyone who watches ABS TV, who also joins us on radio, will be getting to know these issues as we go along. But then, I want to know, Amana Hope is 1 year old. And I don't know, is there a system where you want to network even widows in the grassroots, in rural areas? Man, they maybe are now.
Yes. Those hard to reach areas.
You know, and that is why, like, when I said this year I was going to come to Anambra, the idea was that if there's any people that suffer, I mean, we city ready, put it like that way, knows how to manage it, especially family and issues.
Exactly.
Because you are very far off from them. But the people that get stuck and they are more affected, humiliated and abused are those in the hinterlands. And anybody that wants to partner with me, I want anybody I see, before, you know, I'm being emotional. Yes, your bread and butter is very important. Don't make it your first thing when you present yourself to human beings, because that's when they take an advantage to abuse you.
Okay.
You know, because I was saying a program one day, and I looked at this woman with oil, the two Bible stories, the two typical. First of all, the one Elijah said, God told Elijah, stand up, I'm going to send you to a widow. She will take care of you. A widow. I'm sure in that place there are so many rich people.
Exactly.
But God says she will take care of you. So that means there's something in you that God has left for you to take care of yourself. One. Then the person with oil, he said, what do you have? He said, I have nothing other than small oil. She looked down on her oil. Don't ever look down yourself. Believe you can. Because only when you believe that is possible. And when she eventually, they asked her to go and bring the container. If she were in enmity with her neighbor, she would not see a container to bring.
That's true.
So believe you can. Be as fair as you can. Respect and love everybody around you. They are going to be the one to help you in need. At every point, approach anybody you can approach. My belief is this: for everything, there must be one that God will use to bless you.
Exactly.
If I'm is this, if it's is if you find the laka obulu elelu ana ma akuzi nkuzi ana ma azo shop ana ma azo onwere ife memero sakari izu odu na igba ama na igba because you need every couple. Don't expect anybody to come and carry your load. Find something doing, because just what I've even realized is that by the time you're doing it, when people see and respect that you want something to do, so many people will come to assist you.
Sure.
So many people will. Don't make widowhood a charity case. And that's where I have my limit in most of everybody coming up to share this and share that. If you, instead of you share rice every now and then, pick some of them that na zwafia. Go 5,000 you fasi ajeti nya na afia no. Ko will nebe no we maka ikecha rice ikesia beans ikesia ya odie December na. Egrafi igbako ya. Who says igbakoti ya? Every now and then if onye this serious actually mifi you will hear it surely is sport like I'm na me say na ye tinye 5,000 ego ijele pure water. What they confident in your kwa kan onye ozo. First of all, you are building the person's self-esteem back, confidence.
I'll say I know we can get memu.
And secondly, all ya na onalo ikagwe because exact energy. All roll better yara no to balere. Inyam rice nalo sicha ya edienye adona man we na chuwam. Mana inyam ebe meje ko ife nkosia ya nnata ikagwe. Ilisiani idina gini yeme unebulu.
Ozi the one to.
Okay, kekwa maka ndị chọọ ịbịa this work enwee system because ịmana a na-eme ụdị ihe anụ dịka ọsọsọ ndị nọ n'ọka mana ndị ahụ nọ n'ime obodo ka a ga na-target ka ha bakakana n'ihe anụ ọ ga-abụ na ọ na Lagos na-ezitelu
like I said I katetasịa so ife na yo ndị niile afụchọzili inyere ụmụ nwaanyị ajadu because the truth I tell with experience. People, the experience we had last year was awesome. It was fulfilling, refilling.
Sure.
They empowered. In you can as well say, neighbors, okay. Join. We'll be glad in the year support with that. We'll be so much appreciated in the year because one alone. Oh no, you get ginger.
Women leaders can also help.
Good.
That is website too. amanahope.com. amanahope.com. Bikonu. Reach out to them so that I make it when I be in a village unit.
Good. Actually, yeah.
It's a possibility.
We can come and sit down, talk because that's my own is social, emotional empowerment. Because of that, if only to your strength, fine.
Okay, well, that's so much we can take. Thank you so much. You know, we can't exhaust this, so you'll come back. I'm sure. Thank you so much.
But before 23rd, we'll have you back on the program.
Exactly. And yes, the weekend show continues in just a moment.